All right, so now on to the trailer update. We're updating the outside of the trailer. We're washing it. I bought this at Costco, and then this black streak remover was actually recommended to me to get rid of a lot of the black streaks that are coming down. We'll show you on the other side, they're pretty bad actually. So just picked that up at Costco. I think it was like 20 bucks. And then we're gonna fix the emergency breakaway because that broke. And then we're going to teleport you to the future where we're on our property and we're gonna change out all these screws. So we're gonna do all that just to update the outside, to wash, to clean it, and we're gonna let you know how well this stuff actually works. All right, so we finished the black streak. It worked well. It's like you had to spray it on, let it sit, scrub it, spray it on, let it sit, scrub it. Now this is the first time we've actually washed it. We've had it for probably 4 or 5 years. It's cleaner than it's ever been, but my wife was using something else.
I was using Dawn Power Wash and then also like a water, vinegar, a little bit of Dawn mixture. I think the Dawn Power Wash worked the best. I have like a little scrub brush that has like a motor. So that seemed to help because it needs a lot of scrubbing. So the scrub brush helped. The
black streaks, I actually used some alcohol once and that worked well, but alcohol's a little harder to come by now. Rubbing alcohol anyways. So we're now finished with that, and now we're gonna just wash our tow vehicle. And so now we're gonna take you to replacing the emergency breakaway, and then we'll be on our property replacing all the screws. All right, so the next upgrade to the outside of the trailer is more of a maintenance issue. So right after we left our property, I looked down and the breakaway was completely broken. And this piece, which hooks, was just dragging against the ground. So I got a new one from Kurt, and it's pretty straightforward. It's just an in and an out. So I just need to unbolt that and bolt this in and then wire it in. Should be fairly straightforward. I don't know how it happened. It was sometime after we left our property and we stopped and got more of those Amish hand pies. So luckily I noticed it there. These wires are still currently live, but it's just 12 volts and it's just for the emergency breakaway. The crazy thing is, like, this isn't damaged. The wire right here is not damaged. So I don't know if a rock hit this very specifically and then, or if it vibrated loose and fell apart. I'm not sure. This one's riveted, so hopefully that makes this a little bit nicer. So we're going to just replace. No big deal. Part of me didn't even want to have this on here, but apparently it's like the law in multiple states, so better just to do it. The other thing too is, like, it kind of feels like to me, if your trailer unhooked, it kind of seems like it'd be more dangerous to the people behind you if it not only unhooked, but it slammed on the brakes. But I think they're just trying to get it to stop and slow down as fast as possible. All right, so I have this kind of off at an angle so that it is directly aiming at the back of our tow vehicle. Just tighten that. All right. I don't know if I'm going to use this cable or not. We had this other one that was pretty nice. Yeah, this one's really long. This is the one we did have. And it just has like a carabiner, and then you would just wire this through that. So I think I'm just going to see if I can't cut this one off. There we go. So that's completely cut off. We're not going to use that. And then this one got a little bit beat up because I guess I was dragging it on the road for a little bit. And it doesn't look like these plastic keys are interchangeable, because it looks like the one for the new one is a lot longer. So it's better to do this now before I apply a bunch of power to it. All right, so that's in, and then that's locked in. And then now this can just go up there. Okay, so we obviously don't need all this wire edge. And we don't need these ends. All right, I would like to continue the heat shrink. So they're both the same color because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter white, black, positive, negative. It's more like in and out. So one of these will always have power, and then when this comes out, it'll send it to the other side. So it doesn't matter whichever way you hook it up. I think something in that region is a good place to start. And then snip those off, and then if you don't have like a good wire stripping tool, like you'll never want to not have one again after you have one, because they are just so easy. All right, so just gonna twist those out. Twisty, twisty, twisty. All right, so now if I'm putting heat shrink on all of this, you gotta think about that long before you start putting all these connections on, because the heat shrink needs to go on first, and then you need to heat shrink everything together. I guess we'll go with this one. Slide that on. All right, so I'm gonna use the solder connections, which I feel like work really well. Just wanna make sure both of the middle parts of the wires are crossed over into the solder section. I feel like I need to trim back this old heat shrinking a little bit more. There we go, that's much better. So you can see how they're both crossing over each other. So that's about how you're gonna want it, but remember, you wanna put that heat shrink back on before you forget it. So I didn't fix this on the road because I didn't have the heat shrink connectors. I didn't have a lot of the stuff to actually fix this. All right, so that should be good. So when you're heating it up, you're gonna wanna make sure not to heat up this piece of shrink tubing, because otherwise you're just gonna shrink it in place. So I'm kind of aiming away from it. You will eventually start to see the solder flowing. So I kind of say, like, once you see the solder flow, that is a good connection. So these are still pretty molten, so let them harden up for like a second or two, because they're pretty hot and they're kind of brittle, but once they kind of cool down, all that heat shrink tubing actually firms up quite a bit. So now I'm going to cover it with this one, just as an added layer of protection. Now this is the heat shrink tubing that has that adhesive on the inside, so basically what that means is, like, once it's on there, you're just going to have to cut off this piece and start over. All right, I would have liked it to be up more, but there just wasn't enough length to really do that. So this is out of the way. It's out of the way as much as it was before. So that's the breakaway fixed. So that wasn't too bad of a project. You can definitely do that at home. Just always check that. Like, if your trailer brakes are locked on, maybe this thing's out, or maybe somebody's messing with you and pulled this out. So just double check that. One more step before we head off to our property is we got to grease the bearings. So luckily, these rims that I bought, this center cap right here is removable. If you can find a good spot to get a screwdriver in. There it goes. All right, so we'll just set that up there. And then inside of here is one of those easy lube fittings. So you just kind of pry that out. It's just rubber. All right, so that's where that guy's at. So luckily there is tons of grease in here, but this road trip we're going on, I mean, we're talking like 6,000 miles. So, and I also cannot say enough about this grease gun right here with this unlocking and locking grease fitting. Like, it's a little pricey, but man, is it worth it. So what I do is just pump until it's coming out. So this one actually has a little bit more grease than the one in front of it did, because Yeah, so it's actually coming out. So probably an even better way to do this would be to have this jacked up and then spin the rim as you're greasing it. So all that was on there. So I'll go just a little bit more. Wow, so that's a lot of grease it has in there. So we'll just wipe off the excess. So I'll have a link in the description, but this is the lock-in lube. It's probably the most expensive grease gun you would ever buy, but I don't know that you'd ever need to buy another one. The other ones seem so cheaply made, and this one will outperform it, and it'll make your experience greasing things like so much better. I also recommend some nitrile gloves because you're gonna get greasy on this if you don't have that. So basic tools you just need is like a small screwdriver, and just take your time. I'm making sure that this seal is pushed all the way around because that's what's going to keep all the grease into the bearing. Okay, now I'm just going to clean off my hands. Probably need another paper towel. All right, and then you just take your, there it is, your outside plug, and then this just, but all right, I'm going to knock out the other side now. All right, got everything all greased up. Topped off all the air in the tires, but I thought I'd show you the trailer during the daylight. So there's still some black streaks here, but it's so much smoother and glossy after the wash last night. Here's in the sun. We finally put up that Wyoming sticker. So yeah, everything is like really shiny and glossy, but onto our property where we're gonna start putting in the bolts. All right, so we're on our property. And we're gonna start the screws right now. Get you situated. So we're unscrewing, they look like that, and we're putting in these. These are some galvanized, these are stainless. They look a little bit better. We're also gonna be putting some construction adhesive on there as we drive them in so that they are adherent on there better, because even on this dirt road, some of them have worked their way loose. So I'm just gonna put you on time lapse and we're gonna see how it goes. All right, so I thought I'd show you what exactly we're doing. So I have my son taking one out. Then my other son hands me a new one, and then my daughter puts the schmeggly on there. And then you want to keep a lot of pressure on there and just go slow. And then I have the clutch set, and then my wife comes and cleans it up. So we'll bring you in when everything's done. This side right here is still to go, and we still got to go for the front, but over here looks pretty good. They're all, this side's pretty much done except for the top. Might have to do that later. All right, we finished up the screws. There's still some on the bottom and on the top that are a little hard to get to. And then we had some of the construction adhesive left. So we went around this all the way around. That was sort of bugging me because like water would hit here when it's raining. We were towing it and it could go behind this. So I think that that is the last bit of the outside of the trailer update. We're gonna do more up there eventually. But so yeah, so there's a ton more projects that we actually have done, and you'll see those in the coming videos. But yeah, we actually made it here, and it's kind of a cool profile shot right there of all the screws going down. But if you're liking this content and you want to see more, like the video, subscribe to the channel, but we'll see you in the next one.